y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Catch That. I am naturally Elise, and that is my brother.
JR.
And we are the R&B representatives. And today we are welcoming back our third R&B representative, essentially.
Basically.
That's our friend, that's family, and that is our
Yes.
very, very good brother, Mr. Dart Adams.
Hey, thank you for having me back yet again. I appreciate it. There are very few places that I would appear this often. You know, this is a fact. And y'all know this. I told you.
Yes. Yes.
So we brought Dart here to talk about something very special, and I want JR to tell everybody what we're going to be talking about and just kind of
So today we just gonna be really discussing the man, the legend, Quincy Jones. This one, as soon as it happened, I was like, "Sis, we got to do something," and I was like, "Up, hit Dart." That's what I was like. That was the first thing that came to my mind because I was like, and I was seeing a lot of things on social media that I was not liking about it, and I was like, "We're the R&B representatives, and we represent it the right way." And I was like, "Yo." For us, we could come in and really talk about him and talk what we feel about him and the artists that he worked with and all that good stuff. So I really want to really get into his life and all that good stuff. But I want to ask you guys, starting it off, like where were y'all when y'all actually heard that he passed?
Me, I was in my living room / office, and I was doing 400 other things. I come back to the desk, and I see it flash across Twitter that Quincy Jones just passed away. And my heart immediately sank because those of us of a certain age, and God bless us who weren't around for certain things because we have family, we have friends, and we do research and we learn. And one thing about Quincy Jones' music and his art and what he contributed to is that it's ever present in our lives. So you can't, I can't imagine anybody who loves music who wasn't immediately affected by hearing the news that Quincy Jones passed, because that man's music is so pervasive in our lives and our music discovery. You can't go to any corner of your memory of music and not have encountered or touched something that Quincy Jones was involved in. Look down at the record and see that Quincy Jones, that QJ logo in the corner.
Yeah.
And the man's career spans so far and covered so many genres and subgenres of music that I don't know how you could grow up in any type of conscious form where music is a part of your life and not have Quincy Jones be somebody who is a linchpin in it or be an anchor to so many musical memories in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Where were you, sis, when you heard it?
Um, the same. I saw it and I just went past it. I, I saw it and then I got off line. I didn't want to see anything. I didn't want to really think about it, and I just kind of went on about my business. And then the next day, it's when I kind of like looked and confirmed it. I just saw like a buzz thing before it was confirmed, and then I was like, nope, not gonna do this right now. Nope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of where I was at. And yeah, I just want to speak to like Dart said, the pervasive, you know, it is pervasive. Like that Quincy Jones ubiquitous, like it creeps in everywhere. Like even it makes me think of when I'm at the bar and I'm on my, kind of on my jazz shit, and I throw on like some in the city and those youngins and the white folk being there, and they're like, and they hear the beginning, they're like, wait a minute, I didn't know that was a sample thinking about the far side. And they're
Yeah.
like, I'm like, And they're like, well, what is that? I'm like, that's Quincy Jones. And they're like it happens every time that I play that song. And so just, he's around you even when you don't know it. Even if you have
Mm-hmm.
no music knowledge, he's right there. Because everybody knows the Michael and all that. That's my introduction to knowing who he was, is
Right, right,
through Michael.
right,
But like post Michael of me knowing who he was through Tevin Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
right,
Um,
right.
and then that's when I got into and like, oh my gosh, this legacy. I didn't know either. So
Yeah. I think that I was on actually social media. I was up late one night that night, and I went on there and I was just like, let me go on Twitter, let me get on my phone real quick. And then it was like RIP Quincy Jones. And I was like, nah, this is a hoax. I'm not paying no attention to this. I was like, nah. And then when I typed it in and it came up, and then I saw a CNN actually confirmed it on Twitter, I was like, damn. And I just got quiet for a second. It was just like, I felt like Quincy Jones reminded me of my grandfather for real, because it was like my grandfather knew so much music like that. And it felt like Quincy Jones was like my grandfather for a second. And then I just had to think like 6 decades of music. Like I call Quincy Jones the black music architect for real. And it's like, yo, he's gone. And I'm just thinking like, yo, we got our legends are going. Like, do we not
quickly.
understand this? Like, it's just like, whoa, like this is, I could never imagine a life without, with Whitney gone, Prince gone, Mike gone. Like, it's like that. And I'm like, whoa, yo. And then I never thought, like, we gonna be out of here. But I never thought in a million years I would hear Quincy Jones. And like Dart said, he connected to everybody. And I love like when the Soul Train Awards would have the Quincy Jones Lifetime Achievement. A lot of them would get up there and be like, Quincy, we want to thank you, because if it wasn't for you, a lot of us wouldn't have careers. So it was just like in that moment, I just really got quiet. And then I started thinking about his documentary and how great that was, and how I read his autobiography. And I was just like, damn, we don't got Quincy is no longer breathing no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like for like maybe 20 minutes, I just sat up in my bed and was just quiet. Like, this is real. Like, this is really real. And like you said, since your introduction was same as mine, it was Mike. You know what I'm saying? Mike was my introduction with the off the wall thing. And I always laugh because I was like, oh, mom, this is Quincy Jones. And she was like, oh, no, you knew Quincy Jones before this. I was like, no, I didn't. And she was like, yes, you did. Like, she was like, yes, because she was like, I love Frank Sinatra. She was like, I love Sarah Vaughan. I love jazz. So she was like, you've known him, but you just didn't know it was him. And I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, really? And she was like, another thing. Remember when I showed you him in The Wiz playing the piano? I was like, yeah, I said, oh, shoot. I was like, oh, shoot. You said that was Quincy Jones. And then I looked at Off the Wall and was like, she was like, now you're piecing all of this together. And once that
Mhm.
happened, I was like, I need to get my research on, because this guy, I'm like, we're talking about jazz, we're talking about this. Then she was like, he down with Tevin and this and this. And I was like, wait, what? And that's when my research started with him. And I was just like, I have to learn about this dude, like who he is, what he started with, and to know that his stuff started in the 50s all the way to now. And it was just like, wow. It's just wow. So that was really, really kind of my introduction to Quincy. Really was the off the wall. But going back, my mom was like, nah, you knew him, but you just didn't know him. So, but what was your introduction to him, Dart? Like for you as the music extraordinaire that you are?
Yeah. So, as we all know, I've written about it, talked about it. It's part of my fucking DNA. Is people say it's part of my personality, along with being 6'4". Boston again was a jazz mecca, and being a little kid growing up on Mass Ave between Columbus and Tremont, all the elders in the neighborhood would tell me these stories about who lived in the neighborhood, who did X, Y, and Z, who came through. And one of the stories they told me when I was really young, it's like 78, 79, is that Quincy Jones used to live on Pembroke Street when he went to Schillinger House. And Schillinger House is the original name for what we now call Berkeley College of Music, named after Burke Lee. Lee Burke, Berkeley College of Music. And I was like, wait, what? Like Quincy Jones. Now, I knew Quincy Jones because when you grow up in a black household and you have older siblings, my older brother 6 years older, older sister 9 years older. Upstairs, we had two family friends, 10 and 12 years older, both DJs. And so that means that, and I could read at this time. So I could read since I was like 2.5. So I'm picking up records, 8-tracks, records. And I'm seeing QJ, Quincy Jones. And also my mom loved blues, jazz, soul. And all my family members, everybody, you go into their apartments. And this is back in the era of when black folks used to party and the kids would be, baby, why don't you come out here and do that dance or do this thing? So and then the older kids would always be into the records. And I would always be following behind the older kids. So my memory of Quincy Jones goes back to hearing all these goddamn albums from the late 50s through the 60s, through the time I was in at the time, the 70s, and then the early 80s, and seeing the name Quincy Jones on all of it. I was like, so wait. This man did this Peggy Lee record. Mm-hmm. He did this Sarah Vaughan record. Mm-hmm. He fucking with Ella Fitzgerald over here. Mm-hmm. Frank Sinatra. Uh-huh. The Brothers Johnson. Mm-hmm. George Benson. Uh-huh. Yep. Uh-huh. So one of my favorite records that my brother and I used to go sneak off listen to was Right on Time by the Brothers Johnson. They had them bright golden shirts with the guitar all out. You know, right on time. And my brother and I were, yes, there you go. My brother and I were fascinated by this goddamn record. And we would just look, it was so bright and shiny. And we would put it on, and there's a song called Q on the back. And then there's Strawberry Letter 23. And then there's all these songs. But then we were like, wait a minute. Did he do all the Brothers Johnson's records? So we go through all those, and I'm realizing this dude has worked with everybody and all this funky music that sounds different, from lush sounding horns and this sweetened sound of he does with Frank Sinatra to this pop shit that he did with It's My Party and I Cry If I Want To, Leslie Gore. So I realized, wait a minute, this dude was jazz, blues, pop, samba, Brazilian jazz.
Mm-hmm. You like Brazilian music?
Fucking with Billy Eckstine, doing orchestra music. And I'm like, wait a minute. So he does everything. Oh, and this is where it really broke my brain. When you're a little kid and the only thing you can rely on when you don't have cable and you're a broke black child is you watch this VHF and UHF. And then there are the channels that come clear at the bottom. So you watch whatever comes on. So there was a movie that came on called The Pawnbroker. The music was done by a man named Quincy Jones. And I'm like, wait, so he does music for movies too? And then it hit me. Dumbass, you know The Wiz? He did the music for The Wiz. So I'm like, wait, what other movies did he do the music for? And then I start, I'm a little kid, so I start asking around and I start doing research, and I realize how pervasive, how inescapable the Quincy Jones, I'm going to use a word here, over is. Ouebre. I could have spelled that wrong. Look the shit up. Now, I realized how expansive his work was. And also, I started looking around and started reading again, because that's what nerdy motherfuckers do. I started realizing that Quincy Jones was given opportunities. And he, rather than say no, or I can't do that, this motherfucker said, cool. I never scored a movie before. Fuck it, I do it. I've never been a band leader before. I do it. Write charts for the entire band. I'll do it. He was started out as a side man. You know, he started out as a guy in the sessions. He started as a guy doing the grunt work for other people, and then he moved up. Every time somebody gave him an opportunity, even if he didn't have the chops right away, fuck it, I'll hit the ground running and figure it out. It'll be a baptism by fire. He never turned down an opportunity, and if he did say I can't do this yet, it's because he was doing something else so he could build up to it, so he could take on that challenge. And as you know, us being creatives, we deal with this thing called imposter syndrome all the time. People see in us things that we don't see in ourselves, or potential that we don't see in ourselves. So a lot of times, like I've done a lot of shit, but a lot of times I'm still like, I can't do that. I'm not good enough for that. And then I think about Quincy Jones. This is going to be wild. I think about Quincy Jones and how I felt like he could do anything because he didn't cut himself off from trying and possibly failing and learning from that failure if he did fail. Because there's a thing called failing up that we tend to forget exists. And I was like, well, fuck it. If I think about all these records, all these songs, all these compositions that Quincy Jones was involved in, it wouldn't happen if he said no. So take that opportunity and do it. Last thing I'm going to say about my discovery of Quincy Jones and learning about him is this. I learned the importance of we don't do it alone. We have help. And also the importance of finding the person who can do it and then getting them and giving them the opportunity to shine. Quincy Jones was not a motherfucker who lived by the chart, play this, this is what this is. And I found out that I love Prince. Prince wasn't that kind of guy either. And then I think about Rick James. Rick James wasn't that kind of guy either. And I'm like, wait, where did they learn this from? Quincy Jones was the type of motherfucker who was always in every other position. Like I said, he was the side man. He was the dude doing the hustling. He was the dude on the sessions. He was the dude doing the live performances. He was always with the band. He was always with the group. He was helping them load out. He was noticing where we can and can't perform. So he was always in position to be there with the guys themselves, the musicians, the players. So he knew what they could do, what they could play, what their experience was. And a lot of times, some of the greatest Quincy Jones things that he gets credit for is actually Quincy saying, play what you feel on here. Give me something on this. Do this here. I trust you, session player. I trust you, Greg Filling Gaines. I trust you to do what is going to work for this project, for this song, for this sequence. And sometimes even the artists themselves are like, they can't see the vision. Yeah. They have an idea in their head of what they want it to be. And Quincy's like, no, trust me. This is going to be the shit. And Quincy and Mike butted heads a lot of times. Those of us who know. And who ended up winning all of them wars? Quincy. Because Quincy brought Mike to the board and said, listen.
Yeah.
Listen. That shit don't crack without that down, or that. He's the one who went and got
or those strings. Yeah, those strings he wanted to take out. Because nah. That's gonna be the part that people remember. And it is.
Rod Temperton is always going to be remembered as a hero in black music. Quincy Jones was like, yoink.
Okay.
Get over here. And that's what I always remember about Quincy Jones. Being a genius, being great doesn't always mean that you have to be the motherfucker that picked up the guitar or pressed the button every single time. You have to know somebody else out there can do it. And also you have to be, trust me. And also you have to be able to listen. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite Quincy Jones stories, he did the original theme song for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gave it to Will. Will was like, this shit is trash. But he don't want to tell Quincy that because he's Quincy Jones. He go to Jeff. And Jeff is like, yo, Jeff, Quincy played this fucking theme song. This shit is not it. It is not the marks, my nigga. It ain't it. And Jeff's like, well, tell him. He's like, I can't tell Quincy Jones something trash. So Jeff, being a musician, being an artist, being older than Will, and I imagine knowing more about Quincy and his process than Will did, said, won't we work on something and then you bring it to him?
Okay.
Jeff knows.
All right.
Makes the shit. They work on it. They write it. They bring it. Because remember, the original version of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song was long. They cut it short later.
Mm-hmm.
So they take it, they work on it, and they bring it to Quincy. Will's scared out of his fucking mind that he's going to present something to the great Quincy Jones. And Quincy listens to it and says, better than the bullshit I made. That story encompasses everything great about Quincy Jones because he didn't have the ego to be like, I made this. If someone came along with a better idea or a better sound or a better song, something that fit the situation better, scrap that bullshit I did. We're running with this.
Yeah.
That is the lesson I learned from Quincy Jones. That motherfucker did everything with everybody in every corner, and he felt like he was at home in every situation because he was always himself in every situation. And he never made anything bigger than the music or the art. It wasn't about him.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody has great things to say about Quincy Jones. Even people who had situations with him that didn't work out. Yeah. Quincy did right by them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You look at him and Clarence Avant. They put so many people on, gave so many people opportunities. And he just kept trucking. That's why that man has so many fucking... And also the last part. He was so himself and so honest and so true with what he did that he could say anything about anybody. He could say anything about anybody. And nobody get mad. He said, man, the Beatles couldn't play shit. The Beatles couldn't do this. The Beatles were X, Y, and Z. And guess what? Paul McCartney's still alive. I heard Paul McCartney say, man, fuck you. Nope.
He sure didn't.
Nope.
Because he know he ain't lying.
Because he know he ain't lying. The Beatles could not read or write music. But guess what? Neither could Prince. Guess what? Neither could Jimi Hendrix. Guess what? Neither could Stevie. Stevie didn't have to. He heard it. He knew it. He played it. James Brown directed how many motherfucking bands and made how many hits. He did not write a lick of music. But he knew, hey, J-Bo, start playing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're
here.
Play this.
Get over here.
Yeah.
On the one, everybody together. Let's go.
Don't start that shit there.
That is the lesson that we learned from Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones could write a chart. Quincy Jones could write a sheet. Quincy Jones can give you a lesson. But Quincy Jones will also erase that shit in a hot second if you come up with something better. And we're going to scrap this whole shit and do something else. Mm-hmm. And Quincy Jones never believed that there's one way to get this done, my way or the highway. Because what's my way? Right. You can't work in this many genres of music with this many people over this many decades and be somebody who isn't fluid to change and learning. It's impossible. You got to start over at some point. And he was not afraid to start over and learn and be a student. And that's what made Quincy Jones great. And that's the lesson I took from Quincy Jones, you know.
And that's a lot and I'm glad you went that way because it's a story that I love that Quincy told when he first met Frank Sinatra. And he said, Frank Sinatra said about 2 words to him. Because they were, you know, he was like, they were kind of doing something. They were raising money for a fund or whatever. And he said that Frank kind of looked at him, was like, and he was about to start working with him. And Frank was like, well, you heard the records, do what you need to do or whatever. And Quincy Jones in his mind is like, oh, he don't think I'm ready for this. He said, okay. He said, that's fine. He did what he did. And he said about 6 years later, you know, now it's time for Frank Sinatra to go pop now, quote unquote, with jazz, but go pop. They said, we want you to work with Quincy Jones. Frank Sinatra like, who? Like, who? And then and Frank Sinatra comes back and he walks in and he was like, oh yeah, I think I remember you. Quincy was like, he was like, yeah, you do remember me. But he's like, I'm ready for you now. He was like, I'm ready. It ain't no, oh, here's the music, you do what you want to do. And Frank Sinatra said he is a better musician and a better vocalist because of Quincy Jones. He
Mm-hmm.
said, because he took me to different places that I never thought I could go vocally. And like Dart said, Quincy knows what a person can do, and he sees something in you that is like, I know you can do this. And he's like, I've been a fan of Frank Sinatra. So I'm listening to the things that he could do. Now, I done work with vocalists. I done work with somebody like Sarah Vaughan. I work with the Divine One. I know what she could do. I don't work with Ella Fitzgerald. I don't work with all of them. So I know vocally what he can do. And he said they got together with that first album. It might as well be The Swing. And Frank Sinatra said that probably has to be one of his favorite albums he's ever made because Quincy took him in places that he never thought. And he was like, and Frank Sinatra was like, wait a minute, you do know my music. And Quincy was like, yes. Like I'm not coming here unprepared. And he was like, yo, you got this person playing this, and you got this person. And how do you put this all together? And Quincy said, because it feels right. I don't care about all of what the label wants and all of this. We're in here together. So he said, let God in the room. And that's what he said. I just let God in the room and it feels right there. I'm going to do it. And I said, wow, for Frank to be up here. And then now, when Frank will go on tour, he said, I want Quincy. I want Quincy with me. Bring him with me. I don't want nobody else. And then, dealing with the racism and all that, Frank was like, no, he's staying in the hotel with me. If he can't stay in the hotel with me, I ain't performing. That shows you right there how powerful Quincy was to him. Because Frank could have been like, you know what? Okay, well, y'all stay in that other hotel and we're staying here and we're just coming together and all that. They said, if he can't be in here with me, I ain't performing. And Quincy said from that moment he knew, and he went into that with it's about the feeling. He said he was doing that anyway, but to get with somebody like a Frank Sinatra and they just created, he said he felt God was in the room and was like, no, he like the musician was like, no, was that the wrong note? No, that was right. Do that again. Do that again. It's fine. And he said it was one of the best things he made. That's why I'm glad you said that, Dart, about the whole thing about Quincy was like feeling. And that's all he's been. And that's why, again, how the stuff with Mike worked. Because quiet as this guy, I'm glad you said something because them two went back and forth. That's why Quincy after bad was like, you go on to Teddy. I've had enough. Like you go on to Teddy. I've had enough because you're not listening. Because and we just go there. Mike did not want Run DMC on Bad.
Mm-mm.
Quincy did.
Mm-hmm.
Quincy was like, he saw what hip hop was because he understood it because it was just like the rebel of jazz. He got it. He was like, I get this. I get what these kids is doing. I see it because we were like that. So I get it. Michael didn't get it. Michael was like, oh, this is just going to be a thing and it's going to go away.
Oh, it's a fad.
Right. It's going to be a fad. That's what he thought. But then when he saw his sister get on with Heavy, you see who he got on Dangerous. And Quincy said because Michael said he gave the album to Quincy to hear. Clearly, that just shows I ain't even working with you, and I'm letting you hear my album before then. And Quincy was like, "Oh, so you got Heavy D on here, huh?" You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you got Heavy D on here.
That's rather curious.
And you're doing a little rap on you got a little rap on Black and White? Really? But what was I trying to do to you about 3-4 years ago? But again, Michael again showed that respect. So it just shows how strong Quincy was, you know what I'm saying, for all of that. And I just think that Frank Sinatra story, I'm here for it because I'm like, he's Frank Sinatra. Like you said, like Will was nervous to sit up there and go to Quincy and be like, nah, that shit was whack. Nah, yo, I don't know. That shit is, I can't tell Quincy Jones that shit is whack. You know what I'm saying? Then at the end, Quincy was like, shit, the shit was better than what the fuck I did. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, Frank was just like, he coming in as the big guy and he's looking at Quincy like, oh, this guy ain't nothing, and changed his freaking life to realize that Quincy believed in you more than you believed in your own self. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And I think that's such an admirable quality to where people can't, because some people you can't, I would venture to say most producers and composers, you can't tell them anything is wrong. Like even if it's an objective thing that's wrong, you know. So that's a mark of a quality human to be able to accept criticism and realize that some shit is just better than what you do. That's part of being great, is knowing when you're not being as great. That's part of it.
That part, that part, that part for real. So, do y'all feel? Because this is a question that I wanted to ask too. Like, do y'all feel that Quincy Jones, him, him being the reason why R&B changed?
How do you mean?
Because I say this because it was like Quincy was just a jazz dude. Well, first of all, he's music, period. But he was a jazz dude, right? And then he gets into this R&B lane when he starts with the album like You Got It Bad. What was it? You Got It Bad, Girl, that album. And then he goes into Body Heat and Mellow Madness, because that's when we was introduced to Brothers Johnson. You could tell it was like a shift in what he was doing. He kept it jazzy, but it started to get more funk and more R&B for real. And then after that, he does The Wiz, and Mike and him get together, and we know from that it was like off the wall, kind of changed where R&B was going, to be honest, because it was like the disco shit, and we know what happened with that. Even though that album Off the Wall is very disco-ish, but it's also R&B as well. So it's just like, can we also give Quincy a reason for the shift or not?
I'll say this. We knew R&B was headed somewhere else after 73, right?
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
knew, because we're coming in, funk as we know it started invading our minds and hearts and souls in terms of R&B soul between 68 and 69. So it started creeping into the R&B by, say, 71, 72. But when we get to 73, there's this weird thing that starts happening where funk is like, there's funk, and then there's R&B that has elements of funk in it. Okay. And Quincy being a musician and being around session guys and always being in the lab, I'm sure he noticed that was happening. So we were headed there anyway. Quincy just rode the wave as far as I'm concerned. And I'm glad that you brought it up, because there's the album he did on Mercury right before you get to You Got It Bad Girl, and that shit don't sound like You Got It Bad Girl.
At all.
Dita, go listen to Dita. Go listen to You Got It Bad Girl. It sounds like we're coming out the end of this black Afrocentric era of music linked to all this experimentation with our black identity. And he had kids, and he like, but then when you get there, You Got It Bad Girl, you can tell he's in a different bag entirely. And it's not just because there's a different label. There's a different label behind it. He's in a whole new bag because music is different. Shit, look at what happened with Stevie Wonder between 71, 72, 73, going into 74.
Baby.
Right.
You know, everybody was feeling the same thing. There was that shit from 73 on. And Quincy just rode the wave. And yes, Mellow Madness is
that's my favorite Quincy album.
Mellow Madness, which a lot of people don't talk about, which is wild. I think that the dude completely kind of erased everybody's memory of Mellow Madness, which is kind of insane to say. But I will say this: you couldn't go into a black household. I don't know why I'm whispering this shit. It's gonna be everywhere. You couldn't go into a black household and not find a copy of the dude. I'm a baby that I was in first and second grade, and if you were to go, I know Karita. That's where I am. Somebody's gonna go. Kids. I know Karita. I know Karita. I know Karita. You did not have to have a choir director tell kids how to sing no motherfucking I Know Karita, because the song was everywhere. The dude is one of those staple memories in my young ass mind where I knew that album backwards and forwards. I remember all the things written on the album. I remember everything written inside the liner notes. Patty Austin,
What she
okay.
did on Something Special, I
Oh,
love that. Oh
oh,
God, I love that record.
yeah. But what you talked about specifically was in terms of the change
Yes.
of R&B.
Yeah.
As we all know, and we've talked about this extensively, on all the episodes I've been on and all other episodes y'all been on. Because
Yeah.
again, watch. Uh, I've been on here a lot, but I watched a lot. We all know about the disco boogie era, right?
Yes. Yeah.
77, 78, 79, 80, 81, where shit was all over the place.
Yes.
Now, what we really talking about here, 73 to 78, before we get to 79. And that's when R&B was just like, okay, where we going with this? Where we going?
Yep.
What we doing?
Yes. Yep.
What we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody gonna take the reins and do something?
Yep.
Somebody? You? Okay. But I am glad you mentioned Mellow Madness. If anybody's watching this now, I know I'm gonna go fucking revisit it. I do not have Mellow Madness on vinyl. Sad to
I
say.
want it. It's so hard to find.
Bro, I cannot tell you the last time I laid eyes on a copy in the wild. But
Wow.
I remember it. It's emblazoned into my memory from that era.
Woo.
And I think the last time I saw somebody's Mellow Madness and noticed it was probably like 79, 80. Because when the dude came out, Mellow Madness, I should make the same face that Quincy made on the cover of Mellow Madness. How the fuck y'all forget I made this album? But yeah,
right.
I think that the R&B was already headed in that direction, but Quincy just rode the wave.
Okay. I could definitely see that. I could definitely see. But yes, Mellow Madness, y'all. Like, please go. That is honestly my favorite Quincy album, and it gave us Brothers Johnson because that was the first album that they were on. So it was like, again, Quincy giving somebody opportunity because them being on there got them to deal with A&M, and they ended up coming out with these albums that we know today. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, I'm like, yo, how you open it with "Is It Love That We're Missing"? Like, how do you open an album like that? I'm like, that's why Quincy was smiling. Cause he said, y'all niggas gonna like this shit. That's what he said. Like, I'm gonna get y'all niggas. Okay, all right. I got y'all. And just open it like that.
I put this shit out.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Like, what the fuck? Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, you got, and I say this, I don't know, Paranoid. A lot of people don't talk about Paranoid to me because I feel like that was the talking box before anybody was using it.
Oh.
Listen to that record. It's a talking box beat. They are using that talking box. Him and Leon Ware before it was even thought about. Listen to that. I was like, I remember hearing it and I was like, now wait a minute. This ain't Roger. This ain't Roger Chapman. Wait a minute. Who this? And I was like, this is a talking box before anybody even used it. I was like, okay. You know what I mean? And then this album, man, just got so many people on it. You know what I'm saying? So many like you had many on this record. You got Herbert Laws that's playing the flute on it. Like, you got so many heads. YY Watson on this. Like you said, Quincy was a freaking musician. He was one of those dudes that was like, I'm going to smoke out with the musicians. I'm going to rock with them. I don't care what, okay, the artist, cool. You know what I mean? Like, when he said he would go into the different rooms of Thriller and all that and Off the Wall, he would be in there with them. He like, yeah, Michael, you do the vocals with Rob and y'all do all that. I'm going in there with them. I want to see what they rocking with. You know what I'm saying? So he was really that musician to put all of this shit together. And that's why if he's not on your list as one of the greatest producers of all time, then you bugging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but like it's so much beyond producer. It's like composer, curator, like of knowing what pieces to put together to get that greater than the sum of the parts kind of product. He knows.
Right, right,
And
right.
everybody's not a good curator, you know?
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
at
In
all.
fact, I would venture to say most people are not. So,
yeah. I mean, again, core memory unlocked. The entire family sitting around the television to watch Roots.
Oh,
Um, and I think about, I barely was old enough for this to be a memory. But I'll tell you the shit I do remember. I remember Roots, watching Roots with my entire family. I remember the music. I remember things like the Jackson 5 used to have a variety show, came on 2 seasons. I could go chapter and verse, whole skits and whole things that I watched to that. Barbara Mandrell and her sisters, all that shit. Three Girls, Three, which also was the first time I believe I laid eyes on Debbie Allen. Like, but Quincy Jones' music and his art was so instrumental in key moments of my life and my understanding of why music and art and film worked. Like, again, I talked about watching The Pawnbroker. Is The Pawnbroker the same film without his score? Absolutely fucking not. It doesn't hit me the same emotionally when certain things happen or certain things are said, certain lines of dialogue are said without Quincy Jones music. Same thing for Roots. I knew something was important when a fucking crescendo happens or something, because he scored the shit out of that. The Wiz. The Wiz scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. But I tell you what made me keep watching. Them goddamn musical scenes.
the song.
okay,
Wind
okay.
child,
You can.
red, green. And then the last thing, legacy, is picking up all these goddamn rap albums and rap CDs and rap 12-inch independent vinyl, and they done sampled the shit out of everything Quincy ever made. I
Ever.
love Little Brother.
Everything.
One of my favorite Little
Everything.
Brother songs on, I believe, is it the Chitlin Circuit Volume 2, Volume 1.5 or something, is there's a joint called Flash and Flare. And you got to have flash and flare. And they used to sample the ooh, 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 and I was like, yo, I always wanted to fucking use that shit. And I was just like, oh my God. We always watched The Wiz because of the music, you know? And that's another thing that Quincy Jones has sprinkled on everybody. Then again, like I said before, when you go back and you search, Quincy Jones was a person who was just like, I'll take the job. I need to feed my family. I need to be off the road for a while. You know, sure, I'll take the job. Quincy Jones was a music executive. Quincy Jones was an A&R. Quincy Jones was a producer. Quincy Jones did every little job in between. And yes, you're absolutely right. In the sessions for Off the Wall and the sessions for Thriller, he's with the musicians. Because he knows I'm going to be able to get the best out of you if I tell you, hey, you know what to do here. I don't know exactly what the song needs, but I know it needs something. And I know you could be the person to put it there because you've done it on other albums. Because I read the liner notes. Matter of fact, I was probably talking to the person who worked on the sessions with you. Matter of fact, I was probably at dinner. I was probably at dinner with the motherfucker who told me what you did. Quincy was a person who availed himself to other people. He was always around. He was always talking to somebody. He was always entertaining some people. He was always, somebody was picking his brain, but he's also trying to understand where they're at with it. And this opens up his net. I know what musicians to get. I know what artists. Talk to this artist. They don't even realize how good they are. And that is another thing about Quincy that I always admired. He was always somebody who was like, let's see. Let's try something else. We don't get all these albums and all this iconic material without somebody being able to stretch the boundaries of what is. You can't play it safe all the time. Motherfucker, people don't even know what they like or what they want to hear until they hear it half the time.
Yeah.
And one thing jazz teaches you is that, one, there's this regimented thing, but also there's this spontaneity. But also
Yes.
there's this regimented thing, rehearsed, but also we got to go off book here. But also there's, I have rehearsed and I have drilled this into your head. Now forget everything you know and just go off feeling. And Quincy understands that fucking weird cross section of creativity. And he worked on it and he knew it, and he knew it from everybody else. And even with like young, it didn't matter if you were a young artist who didn't know that, oh, you're crossing into new territory and this shit is kind of forbidden, or an older artist, we got to shake some shit up. Because what you've been doing don't work now. And you came to me for this reason. I know we want to fight and go back and forth, but see, this is how great art is made. Because after this shit is out and everybody loves it, we gonna sit back and laugh about all these arguments that we got to in the studio.
Hey, George Benson.
You know,
I mean, this shit.
You know,
He gave Quincy fever. Woo!
In an alternate parallel universe, Quincy Jones would have been the best coach of whatever sports of all time.
Yes, he would have been. He would have been.
Sport, you know?
Yes, because he was like that with Greg Phillinhanes with "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," right? Greg Phillinhanes was just playing. That song wouldn't have been what it been if Greg wouldn't have did what he did. Because if you listen to the original demo of Mike's, you'll be like, now something is missing here.
Yeah,
love you, Mike, but something is missing. And Quincy knew that. So Quincy was like, all right, we got that. Greg, do something here. And when Greg come in with the, it was like, oh, yeah, do that. Okay, yeah. And Greg Phillinhanes is just like, yeah, I'm just playing with the keys. I'm not whatever. Like, and Quincy was like, but it felt right. It felt right. And in the beginning, we know Greg Phillinhanes was on there as a songwriter, but I don't know if the management told him to take it off because he did write that. I mean, the song wouldn't have been what it was, but like you said, Quincy knew about feeling. Like, let it be. If it feel right, add it on to there. You know what I'm saying? Just like with George Benson. The label was like, look, we need something fresh. We need something new. We need something fresh. And, George kind of respected Quincy, but he saw what Quincy was in that pop lane now, quote unquote. And you know how jazz musicians are. Yes. Oh, they don't play that at all. You see how they gave Patrice Rushen fever back in the early 80s, crossing over.
Yeah, man.
It was a mess. So George Benson really wasn't here for this. But baby, when he heard "Give Me the Night," and once it was done, it was like, oh shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, then it was just like, because he and Rob Simmons had talked about it in his book, his autobiography that he had. And shout out to Vern for getting me that. And he was like, George Benson kind of came in with his chip on his shoulder, like, what y'all gonna show me? What y'all gonna tell me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm George Benson.
Motherfucking Benson.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck y'all gonna tell me? And Quincy already clearly knew what he was dealing with. So and Rob is like sitting there like, Quincy, you not. And Quincy like, I'm focusing on this music. I ain't got time to he'll get it. He'll get what we doing. He'll get it. And when he gave him "Give Me the Night," and then he was like, all right, cool. And, Quincy said, whatever, it's done. Let's take this out to the club. It wasn't mixed. It wasn't none of that. Took it out. The clubs loved it. And Quincy just looked at George and said, what do you think? What do you think?
Let me file my nails.
And what could George say? George couldn't say nothing. So after that, they went back to the studio, and that's why we got that great "Give Me the Night." That great "Give Me the Night" album because of that. And Quincy was just like, listen, just trust everything. I can coach this. I'm putting Quincy like, put me in, coach. I'm here. Like, let me rock. Let me rock with this. You know what I mean? So I'm loving this. That's why I really don't want you to stop talking. But I'm sorry. I really don't, because I really love the way you're going about it, because this is what people don't talk about with Quincy. It's always the Michael stuff. You went back to Peggy Lee, my nigga. Like, come on. Like,
but JR, you know why? Because the big issue with Quincy is Quincy did so much.
Yeah.
He did so much. Where do you aim at? Like I earlier was talking about how the Pawnbroker was like an early memory for me, and then I went into like fucking The Wiz, and then I started talking about something else in another movie. Yeah. Oh man, he scored The Color Purple.
The Color Purple.
This motherfucker scored The Wiz, Color Purple. Like, how many more iconic films, scores that touch deep inside of your soul? And The Color Purple is a movie that people just quote instinctively, right? But but can you think that people be able, if you play a piece of a music from The Color Purple, they'll immediately harken back to that moment in that film?
Yes, you know? Indeed.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
And I think the most powerful on this is that instantly puts me like right in that scene, those emotions that of the fear of the
if you're a music head or you're learning about music, you're put on to Body Heat. You're put on to the score from Roots. You're put onto, like, I'm going to have to do something and reach something in my life. This is something I aspire to do. Someone's going to put a Quincy Jones album in front of your ass and tell you this should give you an idea of what to aim for, what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's any point. And then, like, we ain't even got to the importance of it. I think it's right around the 35th anniversary of it, Back on the Block.
Oh yeah, we ain't get there yet.
Yeah, think about the importance. The importance of Back on the Block and what it means.
Very important.
Bro, Back on the Block is the last album where we have Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan on it.
Yes.
Singing.
Yes.
Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald on the same motherfucking album.
The same.
Grandmaster Melly Mel, Ice-T, Kool Moe Dee, and Big Daddy Kane. They're on the same album as QD3, who is an icon in rap production himself, who kind of made Quincy understand what rap was and how it harkened back to the jazz, bebop, hard bop era, and how they were pioneers in a certain space of, this is what black music wants us to do. This is what black music wants us to be. This ain't it. This is the music. We might be wearing suits, but we are speaking directly to the condition in the inner city.
Yeah.
Even though this music has finally received that, you know, that all important valuation from white folks is being high art.
Right.
It wasn't always the case. And Quincy immediately saw that with rap and his son's interest in it, and he fostered his son's interest in it. He would bring rappers around his son. He would visit with them. He would talk to them. He didn't treat them like the other black musicians from his era did. He had to sit there and explain to Ray Charles, no, you don't understand how important this music is to the young folks, and how you saying as noise is causing a generational divide.
Yeah.
And when he said, I'm going to make a song called Birdland, and I'm going to talk about the history of jazz, and I'm going to have Big Daddy Kane and Kool Moe Dee rap fast, double time, and then I'm going and play, just fill in. And you're like, oh my God, it is black music on a continuum, and we're bringing it all together instead of saying, stay on that side, that shit is noise.
Right.
Quincy Jones knew what he was doing when he did that.
Yes.
And he legitimized rap in the heart and the minds of so many people by making this album.
Yep.
And on top of that, he got these motherfuckers Grammy nominated, got them Grammy Awards, and then brought them to Saturday Night Live to perform live and be.
He sure did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
and Quincy, and then this is also, as you well know, this is around the time of, and it's like talk about synergy. Listen Up, The Many Lives of Quincy Jones, the documentary.
Yep.
Right? I remember watching that, and I was just like blown away. I'm what am I, 14? I was like 14 when I watched that documentary because it was in limited release, and you had to go to an art house or you had to know somebody to see it before it came out on VHS. And I remember watching that, and I was just like, I didn't know about all the trauma in his life going back to his early years. I didn't know about him like not knowing where he was going to live, not quite understanding, about the idea of a core of familial love. So he kind of had to create it within his bandmates, within his art, within his music. I didn't get all that. I didn't tie all that shit together. 15, 16, that's not something you think about. But then later on, you realize the reason why this dude had the relationship he did with all the people that he worked with in terms of music and brought all these people together and made this music and made this art to bring people together and create this feeling is because it was lacking in his own motherfucking life. He never felt 100% safe, so he created a safe space for everybody with his art. When you listen to this album, when you listen to this music, you're going to feel a certain way. I'm going to bring you to a certain place that I didn't have automatically. When you look at his relationship with his kids and his kids with all different women, he was like, yo, I don't give a fuck who your mom is. I don't give a fuck what part of the planet you live in. These are your brothers and your sisters. You are all you have. You know what I'm saying? Why would somebody do that? Because he didn't feel like he necessarily had that, and he wanted to make sure that his next generation of kids grew up happy, knowing that even if daddy's not around, he loves you. The nigga's middle name was Delight. Quincy Delight Jones. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't that crazy?
That's
Ain't that
crazy.
Wow.
And
Ain't no accidents.
his son QD3. And when you think of, and if I think about like the space that his son was in, when I think about all the people his son came up with who became artists, who used to hang out at his house because he had equipment. And I'm like, if you go and bring that line of people who used to hang out with QD3 and come to his house and use his equipment and start rhyming with him and met his dad. Think about the people that his dad brought around his son so he could start his own career and nurture his interests. And then that shit turns into an all-time great, historic, important album in the Black music continuum. And I don't think enough people talk about how important Back on the Block is and what it represents, because and it's been 35 years. I think people completely forget it. They jump straight to the dude, they jump straight to Off the Wall, they jump straight to Thriller, and its importance and everything else, and they kind of completely overlook how fucking crucial Back on the Block was to everything.
Because he brought also that to the mainstream audience that hip hop needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, as much as hip hop, yes, like much as even though hip hop was getting there, but when you got somebody like Quincy having that in your back pocket like that, and to have it like that on Front Street, you open the album with him and Big Daddy Kane. You open the album with Big Daddy Kane. Like, this is Quincy Jones. You're not going to expect him. You're going to expect like some jazz shit, whatever. You got Big Daddy Kane spitting on this shit. And that's the first record that you're going to hear on Back on the Block. That's why I'm so glad you said that too, because it's very important. Very important. And it's also very important for R&B because we got a little kid that came on and sung his theme song on Tomorrow.
Yes. So we want to talk about, I didn't buy Back on the Block. My big sister bought Back on the Block. It's 1989. My big sister was born in 1967. Do the math. She had an actual job. You know what I'm saying? So she went and bought the CD. And at the time, in late 1989, CDs were a luxury item.
Yeah.
I bought a tape. I bought a tape because it was $6.99 on sale, $7.34 with tax. $7.99 on sale, $8.39 with tax.
Long ass box.
Yes, the long box era. Yes, indeed. At least it's the long box era. My sister bought that. I believe it was $14.99, $15.74 with text and the long box. And she brought that shit home, took out that box, put that CD out, put it in our 5 CD changer because we knew boosters and everybody loved Miss Barber. She put that shit in and started playing it. I was like, ooh, ooh. And then there's the lyric sheet. Skokie is just Skokie, mama. Skokie, my baba mandisa. It tells you who sang what part, who did
everything,
what,
every
everything.
instrument,
Who's in the choir?
everything.
Everything is in
everything.
there. Everything. Yo,
Big team to one. Yes, like
Tevin was on 2 songs, I believe, because Tevin did vocals on that and he did Tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yo, like I have that emblazoned into my memory. I listen to that shit so much. And I got to tell you, my brother and I, again, being the kids that used to go to the records and sneak out the records and listen to the records, I was like, we're listening to a Quincy Jones album. It's 1990, and that shit is still rocking. He won Grammy Awards, I believe, in 1991 for that album.
Yeah, he won the album of the year for it.
Mm-hmm. In 1991. Like, think about how many singles that shit had. Secret Garden was the what single?
Oh, Jesus, not Secret Garden. Jesus. I think what Secret Garden probably was the last single, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was. I think.
you know, say hi, my friend. But
I
you know,
mean,
I'm gonna find out for
no.
you.
I mean, think about it. We be doing it, doing it up. We be slamming, we be jamming. I'll be doing it, doing it up. Like, there's so much about that fucking album that's just like stands out to me. And again, when we think about great Quincy Jones albums, we always think about, we always go back to like, we think about like The Dude in terms of that being the album. This came 8 years later. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, this motherfucker made 2 of these chains in a decade, 8 years apart. They hit like this.
And I think that the Back to the Block album is kind of what he wanted to do with Mike with Bad.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to finesse that in there. And if Mike would have let him get in like he wanted to, Mike would have been a little different for real. We would have got other stuff than just good friends.
Just good friends.
No, I don't think it was the last. I don't think it was the last single because I think it might have actually come out officially before Tomorrow.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Really?
wow!
Oh wow!
Shit!
That's crazy.
That's awesome! Damn!
Wow! Because I remember the Tomorrow video, and it was like footage of the session where they recorded and had the entire chorus in, and Quincy's leading them. That's a video where I damn near cried, and I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with me? Why do I feel so emotional?"
Dart, I swear to God, that just happened to me this week. I told Elise, like, Tomorrow came on, and I wasn't even watching the video. I was listening to the song because it shuffled through. Mm-hmm. And I just texted Elise. I was like, Elise, I'm bawling right now. Like, I was like, I've never bawled on this song before. Even as a kid, you know what I'm saying? I liked it, but I ain't never bawled. And I was like, Elise, I'm bawling, and there's nothing wrong with me. Like,
I'm fine.
What's the problem? Like, I don't know. And Elise was like, no. She was like, also with Quincy just passing. And then she was like, also, it's the fact that now you're listening to the words, and the words are really getting you because it was a popular record. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was telling JR. Yeah, I was telling JR. I said a lot of times with songs that are really, really popular that we get played to death, that we just really don't pay attention to the lyrics. Like it just feels good. It sonically, it feels good to us. So we kind of don't dig. Well, I do, but just people in general. But I just am a word person. But yeah, a lot of times it kind of the importance when something is so saturated. And then you go, and then when you just sit down and be quiet one day, you're like, Motherfucker spitting. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, right. That's what it felt like. So it was like with that, it was just like, and then talking about Tevin, and when Tevin blew the way he did, now other labels can see we can get child, we can get other teenagers, we can get other shit. Quincy saw that, Saida Garrett saw it, so they was like, oh, okay, now we got this kid, he blows up, right? And then now you got labels like, oh, we need another of that. That's why again, I say between 90 and 95, Tevin Campbell was that dude. Period. You know what I'm saying? And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have gotten the Brandy, the Monica, the Usher, the this, the that, because now labels was like, we can do that. Oh, we can work with that. Because Tevin came out there singing that joint, and Quincy didn't have to produce the album. He was the executive producer, but he didn't produce these songs. He said, look, now we got these young producers. Let me let Al B. Shore and Kyle West work with him. Let me let him go to Prince. Let me go to Northern Michael Warden. Let me I'm just going to sit here and just executive produce. I say you go there, y'all work with him. Because Quincy could have been on some shit like, okay, I discovered this little boy, I'm gonna do this project. He's gonna be my mic.
And you know why he didn't do that, right?
Right.
Quincy, wow. The beauty of Quincy Jones is he saw so many people make themselves so important and think that I'm gonna bring this shit to the finish line. He looked at what Freddie Perrin did. Freddie Perrin, as you well know, he found Mr. Super Love himself and was like, Johnny Gill, I'm gonna produce all Johnny Gill shit. When the music changed, when it shifted, he was like, I'm gonna do this. And Johnny was like, you ain't the person to get us in the end zone, bro. I gotta go elsewhere. You know, and that same situation happened with a bunch of other people. If you look at like Stacey Lattisaw, you know, it was time for a change, and had to break free and go find somebody else. Quincy was like, that shit ain't happening to me. I already know there are better people suited to make the music that speaks to this young man and also the audience. Yeah, and I know where they are because I work with them all. And they all know me. And here's the best part. When I call, they're going to pick up the goddamn phone. They might not believe it's me at first, but they're going to pick up the goddamn phone. Damn right. And that's why Quincy was able to do that with Quest recordings, with Quest Records, right? Yeah. And just the idea that Quincy was so ahead with it, he was like, you got to go see Al B. Shore and Kyle West. You got to go see Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those two those two groups really were great at developing talent, period. Didn't matter if they were young, talent, period. I know what's going to work with you, with your voice and everything else. And you think of fucking Round and Round. Could you give that song to just anybody and expect it to come out the way it did? No.
Ain't nobody hollering like Tevin when he first come on that record. No. Absolutely not.
All right. So it looks like the single order on Back in the Block that it was I'll Be Good to You, then Secret Garden, then Tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
But they were released in pretty rapid succession. So
okay, that's crazy. I'll be good to you. And what's crazy about I'll Be Good to You is, you know, that was not the first incarnation of that motherfucking song.
No, it was not. And
the original I'll Be Good to You is a fucking barbecue jam.
Bop from the Brothers.
Yes. That is
one of the most boppingest bops that ever did bop, I must say.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And it's the first song on the damn album. They're like, nah, you don't get this shit.
At least when you drop the needle on that motherfucker.
I mean, they did tell you to look out. They did tell you to look out for number one. Like, they tried to told you.
They did.
Look out for number one, motherfucker.
Okay.
Then to have Ray Charles and Shaka on that, like again, and then we like, yo, these my peoples. I done known them for years. I done gave Shaka hits out the ass. I done gave Ray Charles as my boy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is It's easy for
And that
him.
I'll be good to you. Black radio really like that I'll be good to you.
Mm-hmm.
They
Because
did.
that
I heard that a lot.
I have very vivid memories of
Mm-hmm.
hearing that song over and over and over and won't mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Cause and then I knew it because my mom would play the Brothers Johnson. And so when I heard it, I was like, I told you how when I hear, I'm like, now why do I know this song? Why do I know all the words? I'm confused. That's like, oh, because you know this song.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show you how much he was influenced by them brothers Johnson there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Good to
sir.
you tomorrow, and I'll be good to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came
Like, come
back to
on, like
tomorrow.
that's he. Oof.
Oh,
That's why
I
I
will
wish
tell
they
you.
would have played on it. But
As soon as I heard "I'll Be Good to You," I was like, "Oh, they're doing it again." But tomorrow, that shit right over my head. I was like, "Wait a minute." Going back through records, my brother was like, "Hey, my brother pointed to
yeah,
was like, bro."
Yeah.
yeah,
Holy shit! How did I miss that? How
yeah,
did I miss
yeah.
that?
Yes,
He did it
yes.
again.
Again,
Quincy done did
again.
it again. Now you want to
They
talk
did.
about Now you want to talk about how great Quincy is in terms of working with artists, and even when he goes back and forth and butts heads with them, like he likes that. Like I like that shit, right? You talk about Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan is the type of woman to get in the studio with Stevie Wonder. He plays something, and she cuts that man off like, "What else you got?"
Ooh.
Oh, you know Shaka hard body. You
Yeah,
know
she don't give
Shaka
a
don't care that
mhm.
Aries.
She don't give
What?
a fuck. She don't give a fuck and still don't
At
hit.
all.
Mm-hmm. And Elise is holding one of the records that we have not talked about yet, which I kind of want to slap myself for. Master Jam. You
No,
want to talk
listen.
about? You want to talk
He
about a
brought Rufus
record?
back to where they were with
Mm-hmm.
that album
You want to talk
because they
about a
had a
record?
dud before that one. Oops.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we could talk about the Rufus the Rufus chain so much, but yes, absolutely. There was just so much like we want more from this group. They should be doing more. And when we get the Master Jam, just think about those epic battles, that push and pull, that creative energy between let's go here, let's do this, try this out, what you want to do, and we end up with this. Look at that cover. That cover is like, oh, we done found the groove. We in it now. But there could have been some different covers on there if you think about what had to happen behind the scenes to get there, to make
Mhm.
this this magnum opus.
The
Mhm.
jealousy of it all.
Mm.
I guess they did not love what they felt.
Do you love what you feel? What you feeling? Anger and betrayal?
And mind you, Quincy
Like,
said, I'm gonna bring my
like,
people in
nah,
on
I don't
this
love
one.
that.
Quincy was like, I'm gonna bring my people in on this one. I'm gonna bring
Uh-huh.
Rob Templeton. I'm gonna bring Patty Austin. I'm gonna bring my
Mhm.
people in this. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna bring Leon Way. I'm gonna bring all these people, my people in, so y'all can see what it is. Because clearly, what y'all did with that album before then, like, which is like, no,
Once again,
uh,
that's not it. I love a callback.
that's it. So that's why. How did y'all feel about the Q joint, the one he did in '95?
We're talking about Q's juke joint.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
think okay. I feel about Q's juke joint kind of the same way that like rap fans of a certain age feel like LL Cool J's 10 album. I think it's like the R&B version of LL Cool J's 10 album.
Okay.
It got the hits on there.
Mhm.
Oh, he back.
Fight.
But I don't own the shit. I remember the videos for it. I remember hearing the songs everywhere. I remember people buying it and being like, "Oh, Quincy back." But it didn't hit the same way as the previous albums that he made. But yeah, he's kind of like, I still know what's going on. I feel like that's what it was for me. Because the
Okay.
2010 joint, yay, you know, Q Soul Bossa Nostra. That shit. I downloaded my Twitter archive, and I could go through it when that shit came out and tell you all the shit I said about that record. Oh boy, I
But you know,
wanted. Elise, I think I was sent a digital copy. I wanted to burn it on CD so I could destroy it.
Oh Lord, Jesus!
But Q's juke joint, I think that's the last time where he was
you
just
want
like,
to,
I have my hand on the pulse of what's going on and know who to bring in, and I got you. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was the last time. It came on like he put out on Quest too, right? And like
yeah,
he went all around. He got the Moody's Move for Blues on there, slow jams, you know, in the black and white video with him sitting on the couch because I'm not standing up, my knees bad. You know, you put a move on my heart, you know, like
yeah. I will always just thank God that happened. That he brought some me into the consciousness. Because thank, thank you.
And he said he's a little upset about that too. He said it's three people that he wished their careers would have been bigger: Tevin,
Ingram, Campbell,
Ingram, and
and
Tamir.
oh,
Yep.
absolutely,
He
absolutely.
said those three. He said he wished that their careers would have been bigger than what it was. Even though I'm like, now, Quincy, now that boy had 14 hits off 2 albums, yo. like that
that
ain't bad.
that that nigga Tevin Campbell worked an album for 3 fucking years.
Elise, Elise,
Yes.
Three.
Elise,
One for three.
Three.
Elise, could you repeat
Yeah.
that? Elise, could you please repeat that point?
That nigga Tevin motherfucking Campbell had an album that he worked for 3 years.
Three.
Hit
Three.
upon hit
Uh-huh.
upon hit from
Yes.
the same motherfucking album.
Now,
Three.
I don't
Count 'em.
know about you, but I can't
Mm-hmm.
think of how that did not happen very often in music history. Forget about black music history from
Just
a male
period.
artist. Period. From a
And mind
male
you, he
artist.
wasn't. This is his first debut album for real.
Yes.
It's not like he has a big audience like the Michael and the Janet
Uh-huh.
and all this because they came with all these things. This is his first album, and he has 8 singles.
And then gave you a sophomore album that pretty much
That's
did
6.
the same shit.
Yep.
Elise, I'm going to say something. Just ask me to.
Just ask me to. Sorry.
Okay, let's just think about that. We're going to give this motherfucker a single off a soundtrack, and we're going to have Chub Rock do the guest verse.
Yep.
And this shit's going to go hammer. I think about that song. I think about the chorus. And I'm like, I'm fucking doing the Running Man as I'm thinking about the shit. And that's not even, that song wasn't even out of here. To give you an idea how fucking hot Tevin Campbell was during that stretch.
Yep.
And then he comes back with the second album, I'm Ready.
And yeah. Fuck.
Good Lord. And I'm thinking that like when I'm Ready comes out, I'm like an adult, a young adult, and I'm thinking about how that fucking album sounded and how it hit me. And I'm thinking about the singles, thinking about the videos. I'm thinking about we're trying to bring this man out, this kid out from being a child out to, all right, we're going to make music that resonates just not only with just teenagers, but young adults, but also adults who are into R&B. Everybody gonna fuck with this the way we're gonna present you. And they knock that shit out the park, which is a hard sell coming into the early 90s, bleeding into the mid 90s.
And they was like, you know what? And like you said, Quincy always had his foot on the pulse.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm gonna send you to them niggas up in Atlanta at
Mm-hmm.
the face. I'm gonna send you over there to them dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna send you right over there to them.
Go holler at Kenneth.
Yeah, go holler at Kenneth. Go holler at him. Go holler at Daryl. See what they got. I'ma
See what they
still let
talking
you
about.
work with Nard and Michael Warden though. I'ma still let you do that
Yeah.
because I need the Nard and Michael Warden gonna help you with them vocals. You gonna get vocals with him. He gonna give you them range that we love from you. But now we need a smooth thing. And you're 17 now. So I'm going to send you to them.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly Quincy got it right yet again.
As you said, as you said, JR,
yeah.
How many people followed that exact same blueprint when they brought out young artists and developed them? And we can run down the list of names of people who did the exact same shit. And you name some of them.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody
did the same shit that Quincy did when he was developing. And I think people completely forget that even happened, which is insane to me because you 14 hits in a short amount of time. The only time in music history I remember a young artist having that many hits is back in the era when everything was single based. Back in the Leslie Gore era, you know?
Right.
When it's just single.
Yes.
This is the era's album based and video based. We got to see it.
But what's so crazy, I always think about Tevin's first album, yo. Mind you, Just Ask Me To is off the soundtrack, right? Mm-hmm. That shit, mind you. So Tevin done came out with Round and Round in September, of 90, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Then you come out with Just Ask Me To a year later. Mm-hmm. So now you got everybody hot right now. Everybody is like, okay, now it's boiling. You come out with this album in November of 91. You started with Just Tell Me What You Want Me to Do, right? Which is the Nard and Michael Warden, which you're going to sing your face off. Mm-hmm. But then we give you Goodbye, which gives you that New Jack flavor from Al B. That's going to give you that, right? Cool. We're going to go there.
I'm mad.
Then we did Tomorrow with you, right? So we did Tomorrow. So then we're gonna bring out Strawberry Letter 23. Right? We're gonna bring that Strawberry out. Letter 23. Right. Mind you, we're 5 singles in and we're in 1992 by now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Then in June of 92, he brings out Alone With You.
God damn it.
Right. Like it's not over yet. Like Quincy really sat there and fucking had a game plan for this shit, yo. And then it was like, all right, we in it with Alone With You. Mind you, everybody should have the album, but we're gonna throw Confused at you too.
Oh.
We're gonna throw you that.
That's the curveball right there. That's a curveball right there.
It is. It is.
It is. And then this Tevin he's young and all of this. And you know we need one of them Olympics type of records, we're going to give you one song. And we're going to end it with that in the beginning of, no, it was maybe like June. No, that was in like May. Or was it March? March of 93.
Okay.
Then 4 months later, dun, 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 can we talk? Like, it's like, what the fuck?
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? Like, how does this work? And I know Quincy was with his cigar like, you couldn't get no better than that, yo, like at all. Like it's like I love when Elise always said 3 years this boy ran Tevin for 3 years. And at the last single came out in March of 93. By July, the summer coming, we get Can We Talk in 93? Like, come on. Like, Can we talk? Quincy, I bow to you, y'all.
Can we talk? Can we talk was like a fucking Kamehameha blast. Like it was like some Dragon Ball shit. Like you couldn't. There wasn't a mixtape. There wasn't a tape recorded off the radio. There wasn't a place you could walk by. There wasn't a mall you could go through. Nowhere where you could not hear that fucking song. And it wasn't like people were like, oh, I'm sick of this shit. I ain't never heard that. I ain't never heard nobody be like, oh, Can We Talk? You play Can We Talk? The DJ just fucking turn the shit off and people singing it. Turn to a sing-along instantly.
And then the thing about that song, as pervasive as it was, it wasn't even the biggest song.
Yeah, how's that? That's crazy.
No.
I'm ready was.
Oh, I'm ready.
That's why Quincy said, "I'm gonna sing you to them niggas in Atlanta."
Yeah,
Dog,
I'm
that's
ready.
it.
I'm ready was a way bigger song, sales
Yeah,
charts, all that shit
yeah,
than Can We Talk.
Yeah.
But
yes.
but Can We Talk is the one that grabbed the was was
Yeah.
the jam, the one that grabbed the hearts of the Blicks.
Yeah. The Blitz.
Right, right, right. I'm just like, wow. Just the conductor that he was. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't produced none of these songs.
Mm-hmm.
He was just the executive,
Mm-hmm.
a
He was
real
the
executive. Catch it.
he
Mm-hmm.
was the marionette,
Yeah.
operator.
Right. He knew, and he took that back on how he did jazz, how
Mm-hmm.
he arranged and conducted. He might have not did the music, but he was like, I'm conduct. You do this, you do that, you do
Mhm.
this. We gonna do this, and he put that into how he was, doing his artist, and that's why Tevin
He was
succeeded
at
the
the
way.
screen on some Minority Report shit.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like, yeah,
All
that's
the
how dope
greats.
he was, yo. Like,
All
it's
the
just like,
Yeah.
and
greats.
then we're gonna miss that. And then I love how he talked to the younger generation. Like he loved Masego. Like he loved him. Like he sat there, like when y'all watch his autobiography, he was like, it's the babies. We got to get to them. They're the ones that's going to end up taking this over. So that's why it's like when I saw him with Masego and all this, another artist, I can't think of his, God, what is his name? God, I talked about him on the show, but he's in there with these young kids and they got him sitting on a chair and he's just like, I like this. Like, and I'm like, Quincy and a bunch of kids just jumping around, but he's hearing something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, and then when they interviewed him, he was like, I like what this guy is doing. It's something in his sound. And I'm like, Quincy, how are you hearing this shit? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
the, like, how? And the boy and Masego said it was a song that he gave to Quincy or something like that. And he was like, he didn't know. And Quincy was like, this is a hit. And he was like, you think so, Quincy? He was like, yeah. And Masego put the joint out and it was it. like you got you listen. That's the one thing about this generation too. You gotta listen. And that's what Quincy always say. Just listen. And sometimes the OGs gotta listen to the kids. And he said that's how I was able to really talk to them with that whole East Coast, West Coast stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He created that, what you call it, to try to talk to, like, let's talk, y'all. Like, I know what y'all feeling and all this kind of stuff, but we need to talk because this is not looking good for our music here. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not. You know what I mean? I get it. What I was in a music that was rebellious. They didn't like. They think we was on some other shit. So I get where y'all coming from. Y'all putting all your feelings and emotions into it, and that's why we will never have nobody like Quincy. Nobody is not gonna be like him. He connected to everybody,
Yeah.
everybody, young, old, whatever.
I mean,
This dude can rock with Ray Charles, but you see, even though I can't stand that album either,
mm-hmm.
darn that last
Mm-hmm.
album, it was
Yeah. Yeah.
oof, Lord. But all them people on there respected him. These
Yeah.
young, these newer artists still respected him. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, yeah. Quincy is just that guy, man.
Yeah. I mean, Quincy was the bridge, man. Like when I think about the '95 album, you're gonna have Rod Temperton working on the same song as like a whole bunch of other younger people. Like you think about, you're gonna have Queen Latifah and Craig
Yep.
Gaines and Rod Temperton. You know, you're gonna have the Loonies, with Shaka Khan.
That's so
You know
funny.
what I'm saying?
So
You're gonna have
ironic a little bit. A little
Herbie
irony there.
Hancock and Funk Master
But
Flex on the same album. Like, really? This happened.
just saying.
Like, can you imagine getting the call? Gloria Stefan. Yeah, so we're gonna be you, Luis Miguel, Patty Austin, Cedar Garrett. We're gonna be working with Craig Gaines, and my son's gonna be in on the session. Oh, and leave your husband home. Huh?
Yeah, leave him at home.
Damn.
That is some wild shit.
Like Brazilian music?
You like Brazilian music?
You
He's
like
like, let me
Brazilian
leave your
music?
man at home.
It's like, oh, Gloria, you're gonna be writing Spanish lyrics. Like, Gloria, I want you to write the Spanish lyrics. That says, "Is it love that we're missing?" Oh, Q's Juke Jones.
Uh,
Oh man.
yeah. Oh man.
Oh man.
So so that's what we're gonna miss with that man. He's the things that he's done in this industry. We didn't even get to everything, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's just
Well,
the
it's
transition of music and movies and all this, and you can't get through a 60-year career. Like, there's no way.
No,
No way.
it's not
There's no
possible.
way.
It's not possible.
No way. No way.
Mm.
No way.
But I think we really touched on things that I just really haven't heard other people talking about.
No.
Which
No.
is why, and JR, I want to correct you. No, I said, hey, we should do something for Quincy. I'm going to hit Dart. You cool to do
You
something?
did. You
It
did
was
say
mine.
that.
Yeah.
You did. You did. My bad.
I'm, I'm the I'm the I'm the composer of this shit. No, I was kidding. But
Right, right. Okay, Quincy. All right, Quincy. My bad. My
it's like
bad.
dance puppet dance. But, like,
Oh, my bad, Quincy. I apologize.
no, but I, but that was the reason. But as soon as I like the moment I said a jar, I was like, oh hell yes, like.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
within a few minutes, I hit you, and it was less than a minute. You were like, "Yeah."
You sure did.
It was the quickest response. It was a no-brainer, though. Like it made sense, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Uh,
Thank you for hanging out with us
as
again,
usual, as
again and
usual.
again.
Hey,
Yeah, I knew it would be dope.
I mean, you already know. All you gotta do is shine the dart signal. You know, I'm coming.
Of course.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we honored him and just like I think a lot of people will learn a lot from watching this,
Yes. Oh
or at least
yes.
know what
Oh
to go
yeah.
look for and
That part.
explore.
And I'm gonna
Yes.
have to go find a final copy of Mellow Madness because I feel like
Man,
I need a yes, star. If you see another one, please let me know. I've been
yeah,
trying to
because for the
find it.
show, JR was like, "Well, if you see Mel Madness, so I said, JR, I ain't never seen that in a while."
Right.
I
so.
said,
I'm
it's
not
so
She was
crazy.
like,
funny.
I ain't got it.
Yeah,
So I'm
so
not
Dart, it
crazy.
was
All right.
funny when you said that because I said the same thing. I was like, I ain't never seen. I said I keep an eye, but I ain't never seen that in a while. Because if I seen it in a while, I would have it.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Mm-hmm. That is crazy.
I do not own that. Nor have I seen it anywhere. So,
I think the last time I saw a copy was 1980. I swear the last time
mhm.
I saw a copy was in somebody's collection in 1980. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
I wonder if my mama got on the Lola because she don't be knowing what she got. She got some shit over to the house. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So does my mama. So she might got on
Everything
the
that
low
I haven't
too.
tried to steal, but it's,
I be trying to steal my mother's shit. She be like, where you going?
I go through my records and I know what I don't have because I know what my brother has. So I'll be going through my records and I'll be like, dead ass. I'll be going through. I'll be like, where in the fuck is my copy of? And then my brain goes, and I just text my brother, hey yo, you got my joint? He's like, mine. I'm the one who bought it from fucking Looney Tunes in the grab bag. I'm like, oh shit, you did. You did. So who stole my copy?
get your hand, it's like, get your hand out my pocket. But yeah.
All right.
I know every record. I know every record I gave somebody to sample. Like I know that I gave my boy Kareem Griffin, who people can look up as Vanguard, who's a producer. I gave him my copy of Going Up by damn, what's his name? David T. Walker. I gave him my copy of David T. Walker Going Up because he wanted to make a beat tape for somebody back in 1999, and I gave him my vinyl copy, and I haven't seen that motherfucker in 25 years. And I just recently looked up where he lives. I know he lives in Maryland. And I'm gonna hit him up and be like, "Hey, yo, you still taking care of my record, my copy of David T. Walker's Going Up?" I know
Yeah.
where all my records are.
Get your you in Maryland, get your out to go holler at her. We just have a
And
little visit.
will, and will, and will.
I have not played that record in 25 years, and I know exactly how it starts. Ding, ding, bing, 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 ding, ding, bang, bang, do 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 do, bang, bang. Like that's what's going on in my brain. You know, I remember records that I heard when I was a kid back in 1977, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And I went
Mhm.
over and I picked up the record, and I'm like, "Okay," you know, like so. I don't know. If y'all had this brain for 3 hours, you'd go crazy. Because like, why am I hearing everything that ever happened ever? It's chaos up here, bro.
We, we all got some chaos of some sort. That's not my
Right, that part.
specific chaos, but some days it is.
Mm.
I think they call it mania.
That part.
Good one.
That part. Mm.
But before we go into somewhere else, because we
Yes,
will,
yes, y'all.
we it's what we do, because our brains are,
Mm.
not as much as Dart's, but yeah. Thank you, Dart, once again, for having this conversation with us and just for how you support us, like on some day one type shit. So I
How,
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
how
yeah,
could I
yeah.
not, considering that I go back and I'll get a comment on my old blog, Poison Paragraphs. I go back and look, and I see Elise was one of the commenters
She
on my old
talks
blog.
about that all the time.
And I
She
was
was
just
like,
like,
I've been a fan of Dart, yo.
I
That
was like, you
shit.
were rocking with me back when I was writing about fucking comic books
Yeah.
and flying robots and shit. They shot missiles out their fists. Like, damn. And then the next day I'd write something about music, you know. So like I appreciate it. It's like, hey, I know it's ebbs and flows, you know. It's a whole lot of stuff that you get through when you have like all this stuff going on in your head. But I told you, if anytime y'all need me for something to talk about music, I appreciate what y'all do, the way you take things, and you saw the discourse about Quincy Jones was going one way, and you said we have to combat that, and we have to put something else out there for the people. Them, and that's why I'm here. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes. And we appreciate all our viewers who are also very, very supportive and like ride for us. So we
Yes.
appreciate that. And yeah, help us bring some more cousins around. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell a person, acquaintance, whatever.
Yeah.
And you know what? We'll catch y'all back on the block on the next episode of Catch That. Peace.
Peace.
One.